position is vacant currently. We'll do orders of the day. New business items 5C and 5D will be heard before closed session. And I'd also like to move item bear with me for a moment, item 3B, to hear that after new business. So we will delay that a bit in this schedule. Do I need a motion and vote to? No, so that's at my discretion. We do not need to waive sunshine. A matter has arisen that requires immediate action by the board. The need for such action came to the board's attention after the agenda for this meeting was posted. The item to be added involves a conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2. It will be held in closed session. Because less than 2/3 of the board members are present, a unanimous vote of those members present is required to add this closed session item to the agenda pursuant to Government Code 54954.2B2. Is there a motion to add this item to the agenda? Thank you. We have a motion from Trustee Abbott. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Trustee Chi. Is there any public comment or discussion? Seeing none, no comment. Thank you. I guess we need to do a roll call vote of those present. Vice Chair Faulkner?
Aye.
Trustee Chi?
Aye.
Trustee Abbott?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So this will be added to closed session item. And that means we are now ready to go to closed session.
You need to vote on the designations for.
Oh, I'm
items.
sorry. I just said we're going to change the order, and I forgot to change the order. Thank you very much. So today, we will, in closed session, be discussing performance reviews for our executive staff. And of course, we need to, as we always have, come to some agreement with our brethren on police and fire. So item 5C is to appoint a labor negotiator for the CEO position, and 5D to appoint a labor negotiator for the CIO position. Traditionally, the labor negotiator for CEO has been the chair, and the labor negotiator for CIO has been the IC chair. So with that before us, would anyone like to make a motion as to the nomination of the labor negotiator for the CEO?
I'll move to nominate the chair.
Okay, we have a motion from Trustee Chi. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Vice Chair Faulkner. Is there any further comment, public discussion? There is none. So we, sorry?
We have a comment.
Okay, public commenter. We will have 2 minutes. Please proceed.
We have
Morning.
We have a public comment from Mr. Imamura. Mr. Imamura, you have 2 minutes to speak. Your time starts
To this
now.
agenda item specifically.
No, and I apologize. I tuned in a little late. So were you going to have the public comments when you come back from closed session?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Seeing none, we will have a roll call vote. So to appoint the chair as labor negotiator for the CEO position is the motion on the table. How say you, Vice Chair Faulkner?
Aye.
Trustee Chi?
Aye.
Trustee Abbott?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. And now we will move to item 5D, discussion appointment of labor negotiator for the CIO. As previously stated, normally we have chosen, traditionally I should say, the chair of the IC. That person, trustee, is not present, although I understand he will happily accept that assignment if so chosen. That said, would anyone like to nominate any of the trustees to be labor negotiator for the CIO position?
I nominate Trustee Chandra.
Okay, we have a nomination from trustee Abbott for trustee Chandra for that position. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Vice Chair Faulkner. Is there any public discussion or comment on this agenda item? There is no comment. Any further discussion amongst trustees? If not, we will have a roll call vote. Vice Chair Faulkner?
Aye.
Trustee Chi?
Aye.
Trustee Abbott?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We have a labor negotiator for the CIO position. Okay, now I believe we are ready to enter closed session. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Welcome back to the meeting.
Recording in progress.
We have completed closed session. At this point, we will take public comment on any item that is subject to our board's jurisdiction, but which is not otherwise covered by the agenda. Is there anyone present who wishes to comment? I see there's an online comment. Any other commenters? Will the online commenter please proceed?
We have a public comment from Mr. Brad Imamura. Mr. Imamura, you have 2 minutes to speak. Your time starts now.
Good morning, Brad.
Good morning. I'll hurry here because I know you're probably going to cut me off. But I was just curious, your actuary, had a question about that with regard to, I've noticed on the agenda, I'm not going to speak on the agenda itself, but I've noticed that there are a large number of retirees, or now deceased retirees, that are on your agenda. And obviously, it's just a fact of life. Things are going to happen this way, but I've noticed over time that we're seeing more and more, and I've seen my coworkers on that list. And it's sad to see that, but I'm just wondering, is this a passive way of the board's thinking about increasing the funded status? I'm just wondering what the effect is, and a comment maybe from your actuary of what that effect is when you have a large number of beneficiaries no longer receiving benefits, and how that affects the funding status. The other question I had was, and this isn't in the news anymore, no one's talking about it, but I certainly am thinking about it, was some months ago we had a large data breach. And apparently, letters went out to people to let them know you can subscribe to a service to protect your identity, et cetera, et cetera. But no one has followed up on what were the ramifications of that breach, and why was sensitive information put on a flash drive, which no one really uses now, especially for confidential information such as that. But also, is there a possibility that maybe that flash drive was sold to
I'm sorry,
somebody?
that's time. Let me quickly address those two items that were not on the agenda. Obviously, our actuary takes into account the passage of time and when retirees pass, and that is a normal part of the actuarial process. So it's certainly not the policy of this board or this system that we do anything to encourage that occurrence to happen. As for the breach, I believe the city is responding to that, and I'm not sure we can say anything other than what the city has publicly stated about that. It's probably subject to some degree of confidentiality.
Would you like me to comment?
If you would, if you have.
My comment is that we have no comment because it's really, that should be addressed to the city. And we're not privy to any additional information that the public is privy to, so.
Good. Okay. And I probably should have said that we have nothing to report coming out of closed session. So forgive my tardiness on that. Do we have any other public commenters wishing to speak? We have none. We can go to the consent calendar. We need a motion to approve the consent calendar. Do we have such a motion? We have a motion from Trustee Abbott. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Vice Chair Faulkner. Any public comment or trustee discussion? Seeing none, we can vote. Roll call. Vice Chair Faulkner.
Aye.
Trustee Chu.
Aye.
Trustee Abbott.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Consent calendar is approved. And now, death and survivorship, agenda item 2. We will have a moment of silence for those who have served the city and who have passed. Okay, thank you. We are now up to agenda item 3A, And we will turn to our CIO, Mr. Kwan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Still morning. So, excited about today's agenda item, the asset liability study. It's been quite a while since we've done a formal study, even though we've talked about SAA every year. This will be a great opportunity for the board, those of you here, to address one of your primary and most impactful responsibilities. And to help us do that, we have Jonathan Camp and Laura Wyrick here in person from Makita. But first, as is customary, we have estimated returns for the fiscal year to date, as well as returns for the recently completed fiscal year. So for the fiscal year we just completed, the pension returned 13.6%, and the healthcare trust returned 17.6%. And as you will remember, the quarterly reporting cycle, on the quarterly reporting cycle, we'll go over those returns by manager, by asset class in September. Mm-hmm. For the current fiscal year to date, as of the 18th, so this is Tuesday, so this is from Tuesday back to June 30th, the pension is estimated to have returned 80 basis points positive, mm-hmm. and the healthcare trust 1.4%. positive. So before we move to the asset liability study, I'll pause here for any questions.
Are there any questions from trustees?
How did the benchmarks do?
Let's see. I don't have the numbers on hand. I can cover those at a later date if you want.
Okay. Any other questions? Any public comment? No comment? Okay, we don't need action. And item 3B, I did request that we move that back in the agenda, so we will take that after new business.
Okay.
So we can proceed now with old business, which is item 4A. This is deferred from our last meeting, which is the Fed compensation study for investment staff. And at that time, we delayed action, and the action here is whether to forward these recommendations to City Council, to modify them in any way before we forward them to City Council, or to not forward them to City Council for their consideration. So, do you have any further comment or introduction on this?
No, so I'll just remind the board, you accepted the compensation study at the last meeting. The piece that's still remaining is just the direction on what you want to do with that information that you now have. If you do decide to take an action that is to forward it to City Council, we'd requesting that you identify which trustee will take on that responsibility and any guidance that you want to give to them. We do have a JPC scheduled in August 31st, so I imagine that would be a great time for the two individuals to discuss their direction publicly, or they could do it privately and then bring it to the council.
And by two individuals, you mean the police and fire designee as well as the Fed designee?
Correct.
So police and fire has already voted to forward this compensation study for council consideration.
Correct.
And appointed a designee. So with that said, is there any public discussion about what we should do at this point? I think part of the consideration of delaying it last time was, let's say, within the context of the city still being in labor negotiations with several unions. I believe those negotiations have not yet culminated in a final result, so the situation in that respect remains the same.
Can we just hold the study? I mean, do we have to forward it?
We do not. We can hold it. The consideration there is that we would be at following a path different than our police and fire brethren, and that might indicate a certain division amongst us. That is something we need to consider. And of course, City Council, once this is forward for their consideration, they have discretion whether to approve it or not. So this is not a final determination of what is to happen.
I'll also just point out, if a recommendation was made today to ultimately forward it to City Council, that doesn't mean that it needs to be done tomorrow. It will take a little bit of time for planning on the materials that need to be put together, created, formulated, and then ultimately presented. It takes, it's at minimum a 2-week cycle to get onto city council agenda, assuming there's room on the agendas. So, you know, there is also a component of timing that you could leave up to the individual trustee that is assigned the task.
Right, and I would think as a practical matter, certainly it would be after the JPC meeting where this would be discussed in further detail.
I guess I still feel like I have concerns about the results of this study. I mean, I don't think we have seen retention issues. We don't have attraction issues. So this sort of just feels out of left field for me.
Okay, Vice Chair
I'll
Faulkner?
move to recommend the compensation study recommendations from Gallagher. I believe they're on the 3rd page of that document, but recommend to send those along for the recommended adjustments.
Okay, so that's a motion. Do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion from Vice Chair Faulkner, a second from Trustee Abbott. When was the last time we actually had a Gallagher study that evaluated investment staff and their relative compensation to similar programs throughout the state?
So I don't know if it was Gallagher specifically for previous studies.
A
but-
study.
But the only studies that went to council were for the executive team, the executive individuals, not for investment staff.
Okay.
Investment staff positions were recommended and approved by council, but since each one of those approvals, I could not find a comprehensive study such as this that went to council for total review of the investment staff.
Okay. And I think as part of Measure G, I mean, I think we recognize, perhaps unofficially at least, that there would be a cadence of perhaps every 5 years, we would do an outside study to see that we are remaining competitive with other plans around the state in terms of retention and hiring of investment staff. So we have a motion on the floor. Any further comments or discussion?
I just think that, and we're trying to have a fiduciary duty to help make sure our retirees are paid their benefits on time, and we're talking about a $9 billion plan. We need the right staff in place, and a portion of keeping the right staff in place is to compensate them appropriately, which a market study has shown that there is space to make sure that they are being compensated appropriately, and therefore that is the reason for me voting to recommend we send this along to see if we can get these adjustments.
Okay.
And I will sort of build on what Matthew said. I also think the study was done in 2025, and we're now in 2026. At some point, the data could be, if we delay, the data could not be as valid anymore, and maybe the salaries would be higher or lower or whatever, but at some point, there's a point at which you consider the freshness of what the information is that you have.
Vice Mayor Foley, it looked like you wanted to weigh in on this.
I would. I think timing as to when this comes to council is really important. We are in the middle of negotiating with our 2 largest bargaining units, MEF and IFPTE. We're in fact-finding right now, and those meetings won't occur until mid-September. I'm concerned that this comes to council and it sends the wrong message in relation to our other bargaining units and might not get the reaction that you are looking for. So I would just issue a word of caution as to when you decide to bring this to council.
So could we amend the proposal to bring it to council after the negotiations are done, and then we can just move
You
forward?
can, if the maker of the motion would accept that amendment.
I don't say I disagree. I just don't know. I don't know the rationale exactly here. I mean, I think our job is focused on how do the beneficiaries make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure they're getting paid. I'm not sure if that negotiation is, I know it's a piece of it, and I think we're very cognizant and aware of city budget and our intertwining between that. I don't know if the timing alters our stance on it or alters a potential outcome, which would be why I say I don't know. So if anyone has some insight on that, I'd love
You
to
could
hear.
you could authorize the representative that you choose to make that determination based on not only that person's opinion, but also in conversation with their sister board's representative.
Okay, because I'd rather move it forward than delay it. If would I amend a motion to say, then I move to approve this with some discretion to the negotiator
On time.
to find the best time to
Mhm.
make this happen?
After all, if we are putting it forward to council, its likely success should be consideration.
Yeah.
Right.
So if the timing affects its likely success, it seems a relevant amendment to your motion.
Fair.
But that's just my opinion.
Okay, I will make that
Okay.
amendment.
And
Okay?
I'll second.
Okay, very good. Any further discussion then or public comment? There is none. So, and again, I turn to council to confirm that this would require unanimous vote to approve.
Yes.
That is correct. So we will go through the roll call vote. Vice Chair Faulkner,
Aye.
Trustee Abbott,
Aye.
Trustee Chi,
Nay.
and the chair votes aye, but it does not carry.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. All right, new business.
What's the follow-up to this?
You could make a new motion for consideration, or you could suggest a future agenda item.
If anyone would want to suggest a future agenda item to reconsider this in future?
I will, and I would love to have insights from the trustees on where they stand on where we could get this moved forward, because I don't think underpaying staff is the appropriate fiduciary duty that we have as a board.
Okay.
So I'd like to try to figure out how we can move forward with some
Okay.
consideration.
And may I ask, Trustee Chi, if you think it's a timing issue, or it's more what you stated previously, that there's just not an issue, and the city typically doesn't approve unless there's an issue with retention?
Yeah, I think it's more of an issue of retention. It's not, for me, it's not a timing issue, right? I think in general, if people felt like they were being underpaid, they would leave. And we just,
But
I don't feel like.
From a
I-
management perspective, wholeheartedly disagree that it's beyond pay that keeps people around, but also pay as a component, and that's shown multiple times in research, so I can happily formulate some discussion there too, but I think you don't wait till the ship's broken to try to fix it. Most of us get an oil change before our car starts to smoke, because we realize, oh, this is probably a good thing to do to make sure our car keeps running well, and I think that's the perspective that trying to take here, and utilizing third-party data to back that up, which is not an egregious ask to say that, ignorant of even cost of living. I think in San Jose, these numbers are lower than, on average, a lot of the peers.
Well, so we've voted down the motion for today, and I believe it would be within the chair's prerogative to add it to an agenda item in future. So we don't specifically need a motion to add a future agenda item. If we feel conditions have changed and we want to reconsider that, that's certainly something we can do. So unless anyone objects to that, I suggest we move forward to the next agenda item, which is 5A, new business, oral update from the CEO. Mr. Flynn.
Good morning. As previously mentioned, IFPTE Local 21 and MEF Local 101 has voted to authorize a strike with their constituents. The city and the unions are currently in fact-finding, which is a non-binding process with PERB. Should a strike be called, I just bring to your attention, this would have significant impact to ORS, as over 80% of our operations and administrative staff could be impacted. Once details, or if details of that were to be made available, we will work best we can to mitigate the impact, but with such a large potential loss of workforce, it may be very difficult depending on the timing.
I have a question. Is it likely that if there were a strike, that it would impact benefits, that it would impact our future meetings, that it impact some kind of operations?
Yes. I mean, 80% of the staff.
Yeah.
That's essentially what we're On the operations side, not including investments, the remaining people would be the CEO, the deputy director, the division, and the 2 division managers.
Yeah.
I can accept forms at the front door. I'm not sure you'd want to take my advice on the details of your service credit purchase.
I believe the vote was to authorize a 3-day strike, so this would not be an
Honestly, I don't-
ongoing thing, for months at a time, for instance.
I don't know the details, and I don't know exactly how that gets, if it's authorized individually. I only know what we see in the news,
Okay,
so.
which is all I know. Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Staffing, as you know, Cynthia left ORS right before the June board meeting. Administrative staff specialists have absorbed all the non-executive administration responsibilities. Temporary administrative supervisor, Nicholas Schlick, started earlier this week. Nick brings several years of experience in operations, administrative support, and cross-functional coordination. Today's agenda includes a discussion for reclassifying this EA position. We're also pleased to welcome Jessica Huang as a benefit analyst. Jessica started August 1st. She holds a degree in business administration. Our second analyst, a benefit analyst position, is scheduled to start later this month to fill our last benefit analyst position vacancy. Interviews have concluded for the information systems analyst position in ORSIT, and the recruitment is in its final stages. Ryan Renato, a Federated retiree rehire who has been filling in for the past few months to allow us to support cross-training while our previous ISA was preparing to retire. Ryan is hitting his hour limit and will be leaving us shortly, and I just want to send him a big thank you for the great support he's provided to the office, of me personally, as well as on behalf of all of you trustees. Recruitment has also begun for our deputy CIO position. Interviews for the new benefit program manager positions are also scheduled for next week. And then in June, the boards and the city authorized the approval of an overstrength position for our division manager so that we could prepare for the succession transition plan. That position closes on the end of day Monday, August 24th. City Manager's Office notified us this week that City Council Policy 0-37 governing the public meeting conduct was revised in June. The revision, while we're still reviewing, the revised policy slightly differs from the ORS public comment policy, most specifically in that the city now allows for 1 minute public comment, where our policy limits to 2 minutes. We plan to bring this discussion to a future governance committee meeting so that it can be determined if that's something that should be considered. Staff is reviewing a set of financial and procurement policy updates as well. We'll bring those to a future board meeting or to a governance committee meeting as needed. Also on the agenda today, we will be presenting the updated governance work plan and a request for the boards to approve an updated Board of Administrative Charter and CEO-CIO performance evaluation. Work also continues on the board education policy and CEO and CIO charters, which we plan to bring to the Joint Governance Committee meeting in September. Also to note, the Federated Board is due this year for their board self-assessment. We'll be working with Aon to present also at the Governance Committee meeting the work plan and the proposed survey that will go out to all board members targeted for September. Skipping down here a bit, our next quarterly retirement planning workshop is scheduled for February 11th. This is for Tier 1 and Tier 2 members who are a few years from retirement. We get approximately 2 hours and cover their retirement benefits and attempt to answer as many questions as possible. With the approval of our internal audit work plan for fiscal year '27. We included 2 engagements, a review of investment manager process covering investment valuation and financial reporting, as well as a 1099-R advisory audit. Baker Tilly is revising that plan to update the timing of the 1099 project. At the meeting later today, the committee is going to review a proposed work plan change that will include moving out the 1099 work audit to later in this year or early next year and bringing a few audits in to replace it. We're going to discuss many of these strategic planning items that we've been working on, but just to highlight, we've been making progress on our membership voice survey, which we're planning to distribute distribute in September. We're going to have a presentation on that later, potentially. We're also looking at our legal and communication functions to make recommendations going into the next budget cycle. And then lastly, our ad hoc budget policy meets tomorrow for our kickoff meeting to discuss our budget allocation methodology, peer benchmarking, and a review of the current budget policy. The last thing I'll mention on strategic plan is that we launched the strategic planning area of our website that points to all of our strategic planning documents, including the approved work plan, the Vision 31 documents, and that will be the future location where we house all of our written status reports and presentations so that the public and all of our stakeholders can consume that in one location. And then just as a reminder, the office is closed September 7th for Labor Day. I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions from trustees? Any questions from the public on this agenda item? No comment? All right, so since no action is required, thank you so much, Mr. Flynn. And we will proceed to the next agenda item, which is 5B, City Council Liaison, Vice Mayor Foley. Would you like to share an oral update with us?
Yes, please. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Just an update on negotiations. I mentioned that earlier. We are in the midst of negotiations. We're in fact-finding with our 2 remaining bargaining units. All the rest of our bargaining units have settled and have their contracts in place as of actually the end of May, I believe it was. Fact-finding just means that we haven't reached an agreement yet, and we're still hoping to reach an agreement soon. There is the implication of a strike. You've already heard that the bargaining units did approve to strike for up to 3 days. We don't know whether that's 1 day, 3 days, or even where they will be striking at this point. But we are, staff is looking at how to compensate as far as a lack of staff in attendance should they strike. And at a city council level, we're all managing that a little bit differently. Do we come in? One of those days could be a council day, so it'll be interesting what happens, and hopefully we won't reach that point, but we're not quite in agreement on our contract. Just wanted to bring up something that's been in the news a lot lately, and that is an update to our general plan. There was a proposal by the Planning Commission, the General Plan Task Force, and then the Planning Commission to increase zoning on all single-family homes across the city up to 32 units per acre. That did not get approved by City Council. What we did approve is examining what the implication of higher density would mean throughout the city through an environmental impact report. Many of us were very concerned. We had a long meeting. We went until, I think, 10:45 on Tuesday, with a lot of public comment, both virtual and in person, probably about 300 people in person, 250. The concern or the proposal, if you haven't heard, is that all single-family lots would effectively be rezoned to multifamily and allow for 32 units per acre. That's not the average lot size. The average lot size is 6,500 in the city of San Jose, but that still means your neighbor could build 6 units on their house, on their property, plus ADUs, accessory dwelling units. Council was very concerned about it, as I was, and the lack of parking minimum requirement in the proposal was also a concern, and the impact on the neighborhood. So the proposal moved forward to council, to the city council, but it will not be approved and density recommended until December 2027. So this is a long process. This was just the first step. Has to do with what the state is telling us we have to do as far as construction is concerned and building housing. There's a lot of concern, and frankly, the higher density was of huge concern to me and a lot of our council members. One other thing is that we, as of mid-June, we did go to public comments, virtual public comments, so you can call in for public comments, and we saw that not as big as numbers as I thought we would on Tuesday, but there were a number of people online, made it easier for them to call in. Also, we are now allowed to, as council members, have Zoom access to the meeting, provided we post where we're meeting publicly, and we have a sign outside our door that we can allow members of the public to come in. That's a change as of July 1st. Last thing is, I've said this before, and I'll probably say it a couple more times, is that this is the end of my term, and December is the end of my time here as a city council member. And I will be making recommendations or having discussions with the mayor as to who might sit in this seat and replace me as the city council liaison. I have no idea who that is, but I have my thoughts on who it might be interested in it, but that change will happen in January. The mayor actually appoints those positions. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions from trustees for Vice Mayor? Any public comment on this agenda item? There is none. So with that, we will move to the next agenda item. Thank you again, Vice Mayor Foley. So the immediate next items, 5C and D, we've actually already completed, and we are up to item 5E, discussion action on proposed board and standing committee meeting dates for 2027.
I'll give a quick intro.
Okay.
Standard in August, we bring forth the proposed next calendar year schedule. All of the board meetings fall in the normal cadence. There were a few disability committee meetings that overlapped with some of the standard trustee education conferences that we attend here, CalPERS and NCPERS and SACRS. So we adjusted those meetings on this calendar. Typically, committee meetings are a little bit more flexible, but we thought, since we know there's a conflict, why not get that on the schedule? So I coordinated with Trustee Faulkner as the chair of the Disability Committee meeting, and those are the dates that are represented in this document.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments on the proposed schedule? Any public comment on the proposed schedule? There is none. So I'll entertain a moment to accept this proposed schedule.
So moved.
Thank you. From Vice Chair Faulkner, second.
I'll second.
Second from Trustee Chi. Any further discussion amongst trustees? Hearing none, we can vote. Vice Chair Faulkner.
Aye.
Trustee Abbott.
Aye.
Trustee Chi.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That is the schedule. Now we're up to 5F, discussion action on add delete for executive assistant and the addition of a senior supervisor administration within the administration division. And I believe Mr. Flynn will comment on this.
So when we have vacancies that happen in our organization, specifically in the supervisory or management positions, it's always a great opportunity to take a look at the position. How is it working within the organization, and does the classification still make sense? I'm not going to repeat everything that's in this memo, but at the end of the day, I'm a different executive than my predecessor, not good or bad, just different, and I require less executive support. Whether it's hand-holding through technology, Zoom meetings or whatnot. The the real difference between the executive classification and the supervisory classification that I'm proposing is work on in confidential nature related items, and most of those I'm handling myself anyway. And so I think the majority of the previous EA's job was managing the administration team and the administrative efforts that go on across the organization. So we feel that we will get better candidates that meet that need in the senior supervisor administration classification. It fits very nicely into the work that our administrative team does in supporting the boards, the meetings, and the administrative functions across our organization. There is a change in the top position range. The amounts in the memo are loaded costs. The salary difference is it's $6,000 or $7,000 at the very top end of the range. So we do not believe this will be a budgetary concern for this year. If the boards approve this today, we will then work to gain approval through the city, and then during the next budgeting process, it'll become permanent.
Okay, thank you. Any questions about this relatively minor reorganization from trustees? Any public comments? There is none. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Also move.
We have a motion from trustee Abbott. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second from trustee Chi. Any further discussion? We will vote. Vice Chair Faulkner?
Aye.
Trustee Chi?
Aye.
Trustee Abbott?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, 5G, discussion action on appointing an alternative trustee to the Joint Ad Hoc Budget Committee. So this is the committee that is discussing, amongst other things, the allocation of ORS expenses between the two boards, Police and Fire and Federated. They have typically been split 50-50 to date. We're not sure if that is necessarily the correct allocation. We have two trustees appointed to the ad hoc, as does Police and Fire, but we would like to appoint an alternate in the case that one of our trustees will not be able to attend the meetings, and this is for ongoing discussions that are coming forward. So I don't know if anyone has any comments or thoughts or the willingness to volunteer to serve on this committee.
Can you remind us who are the current two?
The current two for us is trustee Abbott and trustee Faulkner.
So, trustee
Trustee
Linder.
Linder.
I'm sorry, trustee Linder.
The person
You would know about it if it was you. That's right. You look so much like trustee Linder, I often get the two of you confused.
Well, you're sitting in a seat.
That's the problem. I have spatial issues. And for Police and Fire, we have two very robust trustees, trustee Votto and trustee Flicker. So we certainly want someone to represent us who, we want to have an equal number of people in the room, and those who can represent the Federated case with conviction and intelligence.
I have a question for our CEO. Are you looking for an alternate who might have city experience and knowledge of budget process? Or does it matter?
I mean, I think my requirement is to explain all of that regardless. If, both on the Police and Fire, we have somebody who is experienced and somebody who is not experienced with the city budgeting process. So the baseline has to be the assumption that you don't know how it works. So I think it'll be easier for that person to be engaged if they understand how the city budgets. But this is really, we're in a very unique situation where we have one administrative team that supports two legally distinct boards. And so we have to make choices about how we allocate some expenses. And I'm not sure that that's necessarily, maybe that exists in some places in the city that run off of different budget areas, but it's also very unique across the pension fund world. So it'll be an interesting discussion, but be prepared to go do some deep diving.
Let me add to that with a simple yes. I think it would be ideal if the two members of the ad hoc represented both the outside trustees and someone with city experience. So I think that would be the ideal configuration to mirror and match what is on the police and fire side. So,
Trustee Chi, would you be willing to accept this nomination I'll make a motion to recommend that Trustee Chi?
very good. Do we have we have a second from the other trustee who is not Trustee Chi? So that's a first from Vice Chair Faulkner and a second from Trustee Abbott. Any further discussion or comment? Any public comment? There is none. We will take a roll call vote. Vice Chair Faulkner?
Aye.
Trustee Abbott?
Aye.
Finally, Trustee Chi?
Aye.
And I vote aye. And thank you, Trustee Chi, for volunteering to be on this board. Almost
I'll send you
volunteering.
the meeting request for tomorrow.
Okay, great. Boom, you're in. 5H, discussion of the ADA and web content accessibility guidelines, requirements for board meetings and presentations. Mr.
Do
F-
you want to move this till after the action for the governance board?
Oh, okay. Okay, we're gonna hopscotch a little bit around here because we do have the risk of losing quorum at about 11:30, so there are a number of things we do want to cover for sure. And I think amongst those are, if I may be permitted, the ability to go ahead to 6.3C,
See.
which is discussion action on updates to the governance review roadmap. And will you present on that?
We have Amanda
Oh,
Hugh who's
okay.
going to present on that.
Very good.
All right,
Thank you, Amanda.
let me just share my screen real quick. All right, good morning, Chair and Trustees. My name is Amanda Hugh, Administration Program Manager. So it's been a few months since we've last looked at this governance review roadmap. We've been diligently working through all the items that you see here on the slide. The slide outlines the governance documents that we've either already reviewed in the past couple quarters or are planning to review and update in our current fiscal year, FY26 to 27. So as we've been working through this roadmap, we've identified a few changes that we think make sense from both a timing and prioritization perspective. And these changes are really driven by our related work efforts, such as our audit recommendations that we're trying to close out on the internal audit side, meeting our contractual obligations within our vendor contracts, and also just considering the different dependencies within our other governance documents that we're looking at as well. So the first couple impacts are going to impact our Q4 2026 timeline. We'd like to move up the review of our internal audit charter. This was originally scheduled for 2028, but as we started working with our internal audit consultants, we noticed that their contract requires the internal audit charter to be looked at during the first year of their engagement, so that's why we're moving this up. We'd also like to move up the review of the policy and procedure overpayment or underpayment of member contributions. We will be able to close out an outstanding audit recommendation if we get this updated, so that's why we're also moving this one up. Looking into Q1 of 2027, we would like to defer the CEO and CIO succession plan charters, and in place of those, looking at the Joint Personnel Committee charter. As we were reviewing the CEO performance evaluation policy and CIO performance evaluation policy this past quarter, we noticed that there's some dependencies in the Joint Personnel Committee charter, so we like to align those together and look at that as soon as possible. And with the changes for Q4 2026, the strategic planning policy will be shifted to Q1 of 2027, and same with conflict of interest policy that's moving from Q4 2026 to Q3 of 2027. So with those changes, we'd like to seek your approval on the updates to the governance review roadmap for this current fiscal year. Open to any questions.
And the succession plans for CEO, CIO, they're further out in 28, 29?
Yes, we're
Okay.
moving that to 2028.
Okay, great. That all seems sensible. Any questions from trustees? Is there any public comment on this item? There is none. If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the changes to the strategic plan roadmap.
I'll motion.
Yeah,
That was a motion from trustee Chi, a second from trustee Abbott. No further discussion I am hearing, and so we will vote. Vice Chair Faulkner?
Aye.
Trustee Chi?
Aye.
Trustee Abbott?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Changes are approved. Thank you. Are there other items under 6 that are,
So the remaining 3 items are policy and charter
Okay.
updates, whether or not,
So
they
we
they
can-
are actions, but,
okay, but we can defer them in interest of time to a later
okay.
point in the agenda. I think we can cover 5H and I quickly, and then move into, go back to 3B, which is kind of a main event. So we want to give that.
I would
adequate time.
argue that the asset liability conversation would be more important than 5H and 5I. I'm happy to do 5H and 5I, but.
Okay, well, I just thought we might be able to cover them quickly.
Okay.
Okay, so 5H, which is a discussion of the ADA accessibility guidelines.
So if you could.
And this is a discussion, so it doesn't require.
No action.
No action, okay.
All right, there's a short presentation. Okay, if we can go ahead to, so this is ADA Title II and WCAG accessibility requirement, compliance. If we go to, I'm going to stick with the, okay. So we've discussed a couple of times in previous board meetings around all of the digital requirements for our websites and documents that we post on the website or on the agendas. This is going to discuss some of the requirements for us as participants in these meetings, whether you're a trustee or a presenter, and then some of the work that staff's doing before and after. So as a trustee, I think it's important to recognize that we have in-person and remote participation. You'll notice that Amanda stated her name and role when she gave the previous update, which I failed to do when I started this update. So John Flynn, CEO. Ensure your mic is on. Not a big problem here, but sometimes at our committee meetings at ORS where you can turn the mics on and off. And then more importantly here is that you speak into the microphone so that the audio can pick up the sound, and the participants that we have who are visually impaired can follow along with the audio. And then very important is that we speak one at a time. For remote participants, we have we're typically a little bit less formal in that the people who are participating remotely wait for a break and then ask if they can ask a question. Another way to do that would be to raise your hand within the Zoom application. It's as important that you use a reliable mic on your side so that we can capture the audio from your participation. And then important for us when we have a remote participant that we give them the ability to have the break so that they can speak without talking over one another. From a chair's perspective, I think it's important that we state the motion that was made. Sometimes we get a couple of edits here and there, and so restating the final motion, who made the motion, and then who seconded it. It's important, and then of course the results. So some examples of how you might interact is on the bottom. If we could go to the next page. So prepare accessible materials. This is the work that we do beforehand, getting ready to put together one of these meetings. For slides, it's important that we use large text with strong contrast. ADA requirements have very specific requirements based on the size of the text, as well as the whether it's bolded or not. Keep one idea to one slide, just general good presentation recommendations regardless. We want to make sure that we're adding valuable alt text to all charts and images. So if you're visually impaired and you can't see the visuals that are on the slide, often we'll go right into the analysis or the message that we're trying to get across without describing the chart or the graph that is on the slide. So taking a minute to describe the title of the slide, what the components of the graph or the image is, so that those who are participating only with audio have a good idea of what the conversation is. We're working now ahead of the extended requirement to make sure that all of our presentations and files are ADA compliant. For those of our content providers that are still struggling with ADA compliance, we're working with them to try to help understand what the requirements will be before we have to reject materials that can be posted on our agendas or on our website. Next slide, please. So during the meeting, for our presenters, we want to make sure that you introduce yourself and your role. John Flynn, CEO. Provide context to your presentation. That's done in a bunch of different ways around describing the key visuals, what's the point of the slide, making sure that you're allowing those who can't see the slides to be able to follow along and participate in the discussion, or at least be there to witness the discussion. Anytime we receive questions, it's good practice to repeat the question, and then, of course, answer clearly. Next slide, please. For meeting coordination, behind the scenes, the administrative staff is responsible for checking for ADA compliance before anything's posted on our website and or on the agendas. So this has created a little bit additional time lag from when we need to have the materials sent to us the first time, so that we can make sure that we prepare it and have it ready for the meeting coordination. Some of the presentation requirements that we're talking about here is to help for real-time capturing for both the Zoom as well as the transcription that's happening behind the scenes. So we've always used an automated transcription service, but now we have a requirement to put human eyes on that transcription to make sure that it's correct. So we need to be able to hear what's going on in the meeting so that we can make sure that we have an accurate transcription as best as possible. And as somebody who's listened to probably more meetings than he's attended, sometimes it's hard to hear the individual comments, especially if you're talking away from the mic. Or your mic isn't on. So, just keep that in mind. Try to, for the chair and myself, to try to encourage trustees to have some good habits. I think we all have good intention, but sometimes there's the CEO sits over here and the presenters sit over there, and we move our head to talk to either the presenters, or we move our head to talk to the CEO. But you can see that it's a very different when you're not talking into the microphone. So to preserve the record and ensure that our team can have a good transcription, super important. Last slide, please. So the four best practices for everyone, and some key takeaways, is identify yourself when you're speaking, speak clearly, be specific. So if we're talking about a presentation or a question on a report, state the name of the item, the section, and the page. It's always good practice anyway. And then we'll make sure that we provide good content, but also describe the visuals when it's not just text that we're going through. So with that, I'll take any questions or comments.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn. This is Chair Horowitz. Are there any questions? I see none, and even though no action is required, I will take public comment on this agenda item. I see none, so thank you so much, and we're going to have to take our time and do things a little bit more deliberately.
We'll work on it together.
Very good. We're getting dangerously close to losing quorum. Can we do 5I very quickly, or is there more detail there that you think that we need?
It's probably similar to what we just went through.
Okay. Let's proceed with 5I.
5I. Okay. If you could bring up, and I'm gonna get started. So this is a presentation on strategic initiative 2.4.1, our membership voice survey. So with the work plan that the board approved in June, we started to work on the membership survey. Can we go to the second page? The purpose and the strategic connection of this survey is that it becomes foundational for a lot of the future strategic initiatives that we want to do here at ORS. Not that we couldn't produce retirement education or a communication program or work on portal modernizations, because we've already started some of those and have some of those in place. But what we want to do is where we're going to make investment, where we're going to add, we want to know where we can add the most value for our limited resources. We want to get the membership's voice included in that process so that when we're making decisions, bringing recommendations to the board, that we'll have that as a foundation for, as input so that we can be focusing on the best places that we feel that is also then has some foundation in our membership's want. Next slide. Project timeline, high level, bringing this to you today because we plan to launch the survey in September. And so this is kind of an awareness for the boards, for our stakeholders, for any of the city employees that are listening that, you know, you're expecting to get a survey that'll come via email and it'll be, come from a SurveyMonkey type survey. We'll give them 30 days to respond. We'll begin analysis and bring that to the next appropriate board meeting for the board's conversation. Next slide. We're breaking down the population segmentation as you see here. So we're looking at doing 2 distinct surveys, one survey for active members, one survey for retirees, but we're gonna segment those populations into these 6 different categories to try to give us I think the way a young new member would want to be communicated as opposed to one of our experienced retirees could be very different. And so we want to make sure that we can segregate that out without needing to know who is responding or who gave us the response. We breaking them up into these segmentations. And that includes both Federated and Police and Fire. You know, from an ORS perspective, we need to take into account across both boards. But we'll bring back results to this board for Federated in these segments as well as against the totals. Next slide. The survey topics, we're going to focus on overall experience and confidence to get an understanding of how the members feel about ORS, you know, where their satisfaction is and where we have room for improvement. Some of their service experiences and expectations around timing and accuracy and the consistency that we're communicating through them, our current channels. Some of their preferences, you know, where would they expect us to be communicating with them that we're not? And then, you know, not to overwhelm them, but what their expectation is around frequency and content. For our member direct and self-service needs, we are already working on some enhancements to our member direct self-service. We're planning on bringing a presentation to the board in September, but those are the low-hanging fruits from what can be provided easily through our service provider. Now we need to figure out where we're going to make real investments in our platform, and getting the membership feedback on that is important. And then lastly, investing in our retiree education. You know, we do quarterly retiree seminars. These are for people who are about to retire. But, you know, I think there might be a chance for education and engagement throughout somebody's career, not just focusing on the big decision that they will have in front of them in the next year or two. Next slide. I think everybody here has taken a survey, so, you know, question types and administration. Question types are pretty standard. Again, this is going to be a SurveyMonkey product, so, you know, pretty standard on that side. But I think what's important is on the administration side, where we're going to have an anonymous survey to all the members. It'll be anonymous to ORS. It'll be anonymous to the boards. Each member will be limited to 1 response. And the platform itself is going to know who and who did not respond and do follow-ups appropriately. And then lastly, we're going to do we already have done some outreach, and we have already communicated in our last newsletter. But we're also going to put notices on our website, social media, and reach out to the retiree associations to get them engaged, because one of the concerns would be that somebody receives this email and they think it's a phishing or, you know, scam email. So we're going to do everything we can to help them not need to call us to ask if it's real. But well, I'm sure we'll still get a good amount of calls. Next slide. Okay, so board questions and feedback. Any questions that you have about the design or the process or the timeline, the analytical groups, or anything else that the board would have thought that they would, a topic area that they would have expected to see here that they did not.
I have one question. What level of survey response do you expect, and what would be considered adequate in order to be able to influence what happens in the future? Because I think in the past, what I've heard is there have been really low response rates.
Can you bring up page 4 with the numbers? Okay, so, for the population segments here, we chose the population segments to try to give us enough of a population that if we got a very limited response, we would still have enough that not one response would shift it one way or another. It's hard to know what our response will be. I think generally people who are early in their career with less than 10 years of service, they generally are not as engaged in their retirement as they should be. We're trying to encourage that engagement, and for those that are, we want to know where they are so that we can kind of go to meet them with their peers. And then I also think as you get later in your years as a retiree, you're not as needing to be engaged. So I don't know. We'll have to see where the results come. I'm not sure exactly what a standard is, but if we got between 10 and 30%, I think that would be success. That's where I would expect us to be.
Thank you. It's Chair Horowitz. Are there any other questions from trustees? There is no action required on this item. Are there any other questions or topic areas to suggest? I would just wonder the number of questions that will be asked. I know that when I get a questionnaire of 5 to 8 questions, I answer it. When I get a questionnaire for 137 questions, I don't answer it.
What I can tell you is that's part of the conversation that we're having internally, because I think we would want to ask 40, 50 questions, but the reality is if we want to get any sort of response, we need to keep them to the minimum, which also means that we need to focus on those 5 topics. We know that what the purpose of the survey is to inform these strategic initiatives. We also want to get a little bit of a pulse of how they feel about ORS, so that that can be provided to the board to understand how we're being perceived. So we're sticking to those 5. Right now we're estimating about 20 questions, but some of those questions will be just pick 1 through 5, right? And then really focusing on the areas where we're asking for free form response, because that's where we get a lot of commentary value versus just a score.
Okay.
Have you thought about having different questions for different sub-targets? If you're only going to have 20 questions, some questions may be more relevant to certain segments than others.
I think when I first started the conversation with me and Barbara, we thought we would have one for each one of these segment groups, but the administration of that becomes extremely burdensome. And so right now where we're focusing is one for the active employees, and the early and the late will get the same, and then one for the others. And each of those 4 groups will get the same questionnaire. We just felt like that was a natural split between actives and retireds. I think we could have also had 12 segments.
Sure.
And so just finding that right balance to see. I am concerned about response, so I want each one of these segments to have meaning. So we are targeting 2 surveys.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from trustees? As I said, no action is required, but we will allow public comment on this agenda item. Is there any public comment? It looks like there is none. So with that, we will complete the agenda item. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to the responses. All right, so at this point, we are returning to agenda item 3B, which is an asset liability study. We have Makita to present on this. I believe this will be a fairly lengthy discussion and area of active interest by trustees. And since we may run into a limit of quorum, and this is not an agenda item that requires action, it's just a study item. If we need to pause it, we will resume it at the next board meeting. So we'll get as far as we can, and then continue on further, unless you believe we should keep it consistent and whole and defer to the next board meeting. CIO Jay Kwan, what say you on this?
Jay Kwan, Office of Retirement Services. Yeah, that's a tough one. Best laid plans. So we had originally intended for the asset liability study to be covered today at the board meeting in full, obviously, and then to discuss the specifics of the possible allocations at next week's IC meeting. The goal being for the IC to have some kind of recommendation back to this body, the full board, at the September board meeting. So, we could still do that, kind of. We'll cover the specifics at the IC, and that just means at the next board meeting, we'll have probably a little bit of a lengthier discussion where we, recover the asset liability study somehow, as well as the hopeful IC recommendation.
Yeah, I see no reason IC could not, go forward and recommend specific asset allocations, whether or not we have had the fulsome discussion.
How much time are we thinking about today?
I understand it might be something like 10 minutes.
My comments were 10 minutes, much less Makita.
Okay. Well, then perhaps we defer the entire item for next board meeting, so that we can, and apologies to Makita who showed up to make this presentation, but we are running with a short trustee list today, so that restricts our ability to hear things.
Does the meeting stop after that?
Once we lose quorum, the meeting does stop. We will defer any remaining items for the next agenda.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you have other agenda items aside from the asset liability study that you want to use the 10 minutes for, that's fine. We can go over the asset liability study just very, very briefly and set the table for the IC and the board next month. That's fine also. I'm not sure what would be more productive.
I think there's only a few more items on the main agenda.
We have some policy things.
I just want to make sure, did we approve all the retirements, Barbara?
I'm sorry?
I just want to just check to make sure all the retirements were approved as part of, there's no other.
Was that not on
components,
consent calendar?
Yeah,
That's
it's just
consent.
consent. Okay, yeah, no, we're good.
Suspense would be like 15 minutes, I guess.
15 minutes. All right, so what I'm going to suggest we do is we complete the rest of the agenda items, which are quickly going through agenda items under 6, and we defer this entire discussion until next time. Do we need a vote to defer?
Yes.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion to defer item 3B until the September meeting. Do I hear such a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion from trustee Chi. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Vice Chair Faulkner. Is there any further discussion, any public comment?
Just a quick point, will we be going through all the committees?
We will attempt to.
Okay.
So with that,
I just wanted to mention that there's some things that are supposed to be for discussion and action to approve under governance.
Yes,
So,
we're going to try to cover those.
okay.
Yep. But on this item to defer 3B, which is discussion, we had a motion and a second, no public comment, no further comment from trustees, so we will roll call vote. Vice Chair Faulkner?
Aye.
Trustee Chi?
Aye.
Trustee Abbott?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, it is deferred. Thank you for your indulgence. On to agenda item 6.1, Investment Committee. Oral update from the Investment Committee. The IC Chair is not present to give that update, which, and I believe we haven't had a meeting since April 14th.
Yeah, well, I'm vice chair, and I can just say that we're going to have a meeting on Monday, so there's no new news, and we just found out that we're going to defer the asset liability study, so we'll bring more to that next time.
Great, thank you. Do I need to take public comment on these agenda items as well? Any public comment on 6.1A? There's none. Okay, 6.2A, oral update on the Audit Risk Committee. Chair Linder's not here, Vice Chair Horowitz is. We had our last meeting in May, nothing to update, and we will have another meeting right after this meeting, so there'll be something more in the future. Any public comment on audit risk? None. 6.3A, oral update from the Governance Committee. And for that, we go to Chair Abbott.
Yeah. And so I think that we've just reviewed the roadmap, and we have several things in front of us today that we want to actually make approvals on, and that would be the update of the Board Administration charter, the adoption of the CEO performance evaluation policy, and the adoption of the policy update in the CIO performance evaluation policy. I don't know if you want to talk about them, Amanda, or we should just open them up and make a proposal if everyone's had a chance to review them. We've already looked at the roadmap.
Let's receive and file first.
Yeah, we can discuss that under D and E and F, so we can get into the details of those. But if that is the completion of the oral update, we can go to 6.3B, which is receive and file for the attachments. C, we have already taken action on, so we're up to D, which is discussion action to approve the updated Board of Administration charter. So if you want to have any further comments on that specifically.
We have Aon on the line to help with this.
Okay.
Julie, are you with us?
Yes, thank you. So you have the cover memo with the updated charter. We worked closely with staff and Reed Smith to update the charter. The main changes are we've reformatted it into more of policy-driven language to serve as a governance framework rather than having all the operational details. And so you'll see a lot of cross-references to where those details reside in the appropriate policies rather than having things just repeated in the charter and in those policies. We also added language regarding the board's legal authority and reserve powers. We reorganized the major areas of board focus and also clearly set forth discussion on risk oversight and litigation. Happy to answer any questions, but those are the main changes.
Thank you very much. Chair Horowitz again. Are there any questions from trustees? Any comments? Any public comment? There is none. So we can entertain a motion to accept the updated Board of Administration charter. Do we have such a motion?
This is Trustee Abbott, and I so move that we accept the updated Board of Administration charter.
Thank you, Trustee Abbott. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Vice Chair Faulkner. Any further discussion? If not, we will have a roll call. Vice Chair Faulkner?
Aye.
Trustee Abbott?
Aye.
Trustee Chi?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. So we have a updated Board of Administration charter. Item E, discussion action to approve an updated CEO performance evaluation policy. And for clarification, this will affect the evaluation that occurs next year. Our current evaluation, which is in progress, uses the existing paradigm.
Just to correct the terminology, it's technically for this fiscal year, but the performance evaluation will happen this time next year.
Thank you. Sure. So with that, does Aon wish to extrapolate on the changes made to the performance evaluation policy?
Thank you, I'm happy to. So again, we work closely with staff and Reed Smith to prepare these updates to the evaluation policy. And key updates include there used to be separate CEO performance evaluation policies for each board. We've now combined those into one applicable to both boards. We formalize annual goal setting tied to organizational strategy in line with the strategic plan. We expanded the focus on clear communication of performance goals and expectations, as well as timely and constructive feedback. We added a requirement of written documentation and formalized the mid-year evaluation process. We also clarified roles and responsibilities, including duties that will be performed by the Joint Personnel Committee. And we also consolidated the prior designee and labor negotiator roles into a single labor negotiator role. We also strengthened alignment with the city's management performance program. and deleted reference to unacceptable performance and instead refer to the CEO employment agreement. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. This is Chair Horowitz. Are there any questions from trustees? Is there any public questions or comment? There are none. If not, we can entertain a motion to accept the changes to the CEO performance evaluation policy for the current fiscal year. Do we have such a motion?
This is Trustee Chi. I'll motion.
We have a motion from Trustee Chi. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second from Trustee Abbott. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we can have a vote. Vice Chair Faulkner?
Aye.
Trustee Abbott?
Aye.
Trustee Chi?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The performance evaluation is updated. And now we have a similar and parallel issue for the CIO performance evaluation, again for the current fiscal year, which will end in June of 2027. Aon, would you like to point out what the updates were?
Updates pretty much mirror the updates that we just discussed for the CEO performance evaluation policy.
Okay, so ditto.
Yes.
Any questions from trustees on this update? Any public comment on the update? Seeing none, would anyone like to formulate a motion to accept the updated CIO performance evaluation policy?
So moved.
We have a motion from Vice Chair Faulkner. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
A second from Trustee Chi. If no further discussion, we can have a roll call vote. Vice Chair Faulkner?
Aye.
Trustee Chi?
Aye.
Trustee Abbott?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The CIO evaluation policy is updated. We move forward to 6.4, which is the Disability Committee. Chair Faulkner, is there an oral update?
No, we will be meeting next month.
Very good, thank you. Is there any public comment on the Disability Committee? There is none. 6.5, Joint Personnel Committee. Vice Chair Chandra is not here. Trustee Linder is not here. I am here. Oral update, we have no oral update. We last met on April 1st, and we'll meet again at the end of this month. So is there any public comment on the JPC? There is none. Moving forward to the Joint Budget Ad Hoc Committee. We have one member of the committee here, and we have just appointed a new alternate member. Is there an update? Has the committee met yet? We have
Yeah.
not? Okay.
First meeting's tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I assume nothing to report. Education and training, as usual, you can see a range of opportunities. I will ask if there are any proposed agenda items. I see none. With that, we are in adjournment.